Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we're back here today with another edition of Rough Drafts. So we get to go into the second format of Ravnica. Last week was Triple Ravnica. This week we get Ravnica or Ravnica Guildpact. So what this means is there are 3 more guilds added to the format. So along with the 4 guilds of the first format, Boros, Dimir, Selesnya, and Golgari, in our third pack, we will have access to Gruul, we will have access to Izzet, and we will have access to Orzhov. So it definitely changes the way we draft. It makes some things better and some things worse. It makes, for example, going junk more appealing, since we're going to get to take advantage of black-white cards in the third pack. So we'll see. Anyway, in this pack, Bottled Cloister, not really exciting. It draws you an extra card each turn, but comes with the risk of if it gets destroyed, you lose your entire hand. Boros Swiftblade, fine. Legionnaire, fine. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to head towards Boros though. Aqueduct is good. Golgari Signet is good. One of those might be the pick. Conclave Equinaut is also decent. I'm leaning towards just taking this Dimir Aqueduct. The bounce lands are very strong. Ooh, so now we have some options. Pollen Bright Wings is pretty insane. We actually got beat by that last week, I believe. So enchanted creature has flying. Whenever it deals combat damage, you put that many 1/1 green Sapperling tokens in the battlefield. Boros Guildmage is also very good in an aggressive deck. Scatter to the Seeds is extremely strong as well. But I'm leaning towards this Ribbons of Night, which is one of the best removal spells in the format. So 5 mana, deals 4 damage to a creature, you gain 4 life. If you spend blue on it, you draw a card. It works well with Dimir Aqueduct, and since if we can go through the first pack in blue-black, we can go into either Esper, thanks to Orzhov in pack 3, or into Grixis, thanks to Izzet being in pack 3. So that's one of the strategies of this draft, of this format, when you start getting more sets into the draft format. You want to think ahead to what guilds are going to be in the future packs. So you can go all in on being a 3-color deck with only the Ravnica guilds. For example, Naya, going red, white, and then splashing green. But then you aren't going to get much of anything, or not nearly as much, in the third pack. So if you can set yourself up to benefit from 2 guilds in the third pack, you can be in a really good place and take advantage of cards no one else can. That said, this pack, never play the Hunteds. That was a lesson from last time. One of our opponents tried to play this card, and we totally wrecked them for it. Dark Blast is okay. Not exciting. Sewer Dredge is 5 mana 3/3. Lurking Informant is not bad in the mill deck. And it's also just a fine 2-drop. You get to mess with your opponent's draws. But I think we're just going to take Disembowel. It is a expensive removal spell if you're going to kill something big, but it is a good removal spell. Jeez, the hits just keep coming. This is actually a very strong pack. Vidalcan Dismisser is decent. Fists of Ironwood is very strong, especially if you're green-white. Civic Wayfinder is fine fixing. You get to search for a basic land when it enters the battlefield, put it in your hand. Sunhome Enforcer is actually decent in Boros, but last gasp. I think that's clearly the pick. 2 mana, instant, target creature gets -3, -3. So just keep taking the removal. Now we get to choose if we're going to try to stay blue-black, which is my plan at this point. I'm not planning on going into Golgari or something, because I think we benefit more by staying straight blue-black and then taking advantage of the guilds in pack 3. So if we're going to stay straight blue-black, Dimir Infiltrator is solid. 1/3, can't be blocked for 2. Can also transmute it for another 2-mana card. Induced Paranoia is fine. I don't know if we're going to actually be the straight-up mill deck, though. Not excited about Fiery Conclusion. We can keep our eyes open. If we get some really good white cards or red cards, we could take them and plan on going into that guild in pack 3, either Izzet or Orzhov. But for now, we're going to stay blue-black and probably just take this Signet, which is also very strong. So we're getting some good mana ramp fixing. Mindless Mass. So this is 8 mana, Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you can look at that player's hand. If you do, you can cast a non-land card in it. without paying its mana cost. Could be a finisher. Pretty expensive, though. There's also just a Boros Signet, which is actually pretty appealing because we would play that if, well, Signets are just good, but if we go Orzhov, we'll want the white mana, but if we go Izzet, we'll want the red mana. So either way, the direction we go in pack 3 will benefit from this Boros Signet. So I'm thinking that's the way to go. Let's take Boros Signet. Up next, probably just Tatterdrake. Not that exciting, but it does regenerate. 2/2 regenerate for flying regenerate for 5. It's also a foil swamp. I don't think we can take that here, though. All the other cards are not that exciting. Infectious Host is actually really bad. 1/1 for 3. When it dies, target player loses 2 life. So we'll just take the Tatterdrake here. Well, Boros is a little open by the looks. Boros Swiftblade is pretty late in this pack. It's pretty late in the pack for that to still be coming around. Nightmare Void is a really expensive Thoughtseize with Dredge. Carrion Howler is not too exciting. It's a 2/2 for 4 that can become a 4/1 by paying a life. Drake Familiar. I'm going to take Drake Familiar just because it is in our colors. I don't think we play it. I guess it's somewhat possible if we get just the right amount of enchantments, but it's really hard to play. So it's a 2/1 flying for 2, which sounds pretty good. But when it enters the battlefield, you get to sack it unless you return an enchantment to its owner's hand. So it's actually pretty hard to take advantage. I think we're in an alright place, though. We got 3 good removal spells, 2 Signets, and a Dimir Aqueduct. And we're set up to go into one of those guilds in pack 3, like I was talking about. Take advantage of Orzhov or Izzet, depending on what's coming around. And there are some really insane cards in those guilds, so it's not a bad place to be. They both have some very strong commons and uncommons. Jeez, Boros Guildmage is still coming around. Farseek is also a fine card. Artifact and enchantment removal is not bad. Sadistic Augur Mage isn't great. I guess there's some argument you take this just to keep cutting black, but Guild Mage is so much better than all those other cards. I think we take that just so no one else has it. Halcyon Glaze. Enchantment, whenever you cast a creature, it becomes a 4/4 illusion with flying, in addition to its other types until end of turn. Not very good. I don't think we're going to be that aggressive. Neither of these cards are playable. I think we're just going to take Terraformer. Also not very good, but Grifter's Blade, 3 mana, gives the creature +1/+1. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature you control it could be attached to. If you do, you can equip it. Oh, it enters the battlefield equipped. So it's like a pump spell, sort of, but also an equipment. We'll take that Coal Hauler Swine. Woodwraith Strangler. Insight Hysteria. We'll just take the blue card. Not playable, but we'll take it. Another Insight Hysteria and a Quick Change. Quick Change at least cycles. It doesn't do anything. Target creature becomes the color or colors of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. I mean, I guess it sort of does something, but not especially. In Ravnica, money cards are still Dark Confidant, go Gary Grave Troll, Life from the Loam, not Phytohydra. Ooh, so we've had a lot of really good cards, good packs for us, but this pack does not seem too good. There's a ton of green cards. There's a very good Selesnya card, a Selesnya Rare, which is moderate. Boros card. I guess we could take Spectral Searchlight or Peel from Reality. Problem with Peel is we only have 2 creatures, although some of the Izzet cards in pack 3 would work really well with Peel. Like Izzet Chronarch, for example. So we might just take Peel anyway over Spectral Searchlight. I think that's the way to go. Now we get a few okay options. Woebringer Demon, 5 mana 4/4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks a creature. If that player can't, sacrifice Woebringer Demon. So it has a pretty big drawback in that we have to keep sacking creatures. It would be better in some sort of like token strategy. Like with Selesnya Evangel, you can make a 1/1 every turn. So you could have fodder to sack to it. Our deck probably won't be able to do that. There's another peel. There's a Psychic Drain, which is a good uncommon for the mill deck, but I don't think we are the mill deck. Drift of Phantasms is fine. It's just a big flying wall, essentially. 0/5 flyer. And there's another peel from Reality. I think I'm going to take the Drift here. Now we get Vigor Mortis is a reanimation spell. 4 mana, return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Probably not for us. Golgari Germination, not for us. Another good Boros card in Thundersong Trumpeter. We might take Roofstalker, right? It's a fine 2-drop. It's not great. Better than Sadistic Augur Mage, I think. Muddle is also okay, but not super exciting. Stasis Cell is really expensive and pretty bad removal. So let's go with Roofstalker right here, I think. Jeez, look at these Boros cards. No one is in Boros. Lightning Helix, Foil Boros Guildmage, Skylight Legionnaire. Still, we're not going to move into Boros. Bloodbound March, not really playable. 4 mana, Golgari Enchantment. Whenever a player casts a creature spell, each player returns all cards with the same name as that spell from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Might just take another Signet here, the Golgari Signet. One thing we're really missing is a way to draw cards. We haven't got any card draw. Boros Guildmage, we could take that. We have 2 Boros Guildmages. Let's take Boros Guildmage. It's actually not impossible that we play Boros Guildmage. If we end up, it's really rough on our mana to have a double red 2-drop. So we wouldn't be playing it to the late game. But I don't think it's impossible. Consult the Necrosages is likely what I'm going to take because I really want some card draw. Mark of Eviction is fine, but not super great. And then there's another Infiltrator. Also Hunted Dragon. Probably the best of the Hunted cycle, but still not really good. I guess it's good if you can just fireball your opponent to death with it, if they're at 5 life or something, but you don't just want to play it fairly. We'll take Consult the Necrosages. Here, I think it's just another Dimir Aqueduct. Bounce lands are very strong. Here, we get another Consult the Necrosages. I'm going to take that over Tidewater minion, I think. Now we get a bunch of stuff that doesn't do anything for us in a Signet. So we'll take the Signet. And, geez, a pack that I don't think we play a single card in. I don't know if anyone plays a single card in it. Let's take Grifter's Blade, the colorless option. Theoretically, that could show up in the most amount of decks. Another Benevolent Ancestor. Let's take Flamekin Zealot. That's actually a fine card. 4 mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 in haste. So it's a 3/3 with haste when it enters the battlefield, and it pumps your team and gives them haste. Sort of a really expensive Bushwhacker to some extent. Perplex, really high variance. Counter target spell unless its controller discards their hand. In the early turns, it's pretty much a hard counter because people don't want to discard their hand. But in the late game, it does nothing because people's hands are usually fairly empty. Let's take Sellsword Brute. I don't think any of those cards are really going to make our deck. So we're in an alright place. We don't really have a payoff of any sort, though, yet. Dogpile, damage equal to the number of attacking creatures you control. So, well, we have 4 creatures, and one of them is a wall. So, let's take Spark Mage Apprentice. Not that any of those cards are very good. So, let's see if our strategy of staying in blue-black, picking up bounce lands and signets, and then hoping to get paid off in pack 3. Let's see if that pays off. There was a nutty Boros deck going around. But if you go Boros, what are you going to do in pack 3? So you go into Boros. I guess you can try to go into Jeskai or into Naya. So, I mean, I guess there's things you can do. I just don't really like Boros. I would rather be drawing cards and killing things than being the aggressive deck. Just keep taking the blue cards or the black cards. So we really could use a big finisher of some kind, and we'll probably end up in either black or white after this, or black or white or red after this pack. So Esper or Grixis, depending on what we get in Guildpact. So the rare is Burning Tree Shaman. Not bad if you are the a deck that can cast it. Whenever a player activates a ability that isn't a mana ability, whenever a player activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, Burning Tree Shaman deals 1 damage to that player. It's fine. However, we have some actual good cards. Savage Twister is insane, but I don't think we can double splash it. That's really asking a lot. We do have Signets that could theoretically cast it, but Pillory of the Sleepless is very good. It's like a pacifism, costs 1 more mana, but it makes the player who controls the creature lose a life at the beginning of their upkeep. Also, Izzet Chronarch is a decent spell in Izzet. It works well with our Appeal from Reality. Return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. And Repeal is very good. But I think I'm just taking Pillory. Alright, so that's a push towards being Esper. Now we get in Izzet Rare, whenever you cast a blue spell, target creature gains flying. Whenever you cast a red spell, Tibor and Lumia deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. It's a pretty good way to get rid of a bunch of tokens. You can shoot down all the Saproling tokens. Got Inflectomancer, not that exciting. There's another Repeal, which is good, and Ogre Savant, which is excellent. When it enters the battlefield, if you spend blue on it, you get to bounce a creature. I think we're taking Ogre Savant. So I guess it's not impossible that we end up double splashing. Izzet and this Pillory. Now we're probably taking Invoke the Firemind. Whoo! It's like a reverse Sphinx's Revelation. You get to choose one, either draw X cards or deal X damage to target creature or player. And it is X blue, blue, red. So yeah, we're definitely taking that. Clearly the pick. We Dragonauts is fine as well. 1/3 flyer, when you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +2/+0. Ooh. Orzhov Guildmage is pretty solid. Vidalcan Plotter, not very solid. 3 mana 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you get to exchange control of lands. I guess it's not bad if you can steal a bounce land, but it's not great. Torchdrake is fine. 2 mana 4/4 flyer, and you can pay 1 in a red to pump it. Also an Izzet Signet, which we would play. I don't know how important it is to our deck. Probably going to take Torchdrake. I think we need creatures. Oh, we could play this Guildmage, though. I think Torchdrake is just better. Orzhov Guildmage is not one of the more awesome of the Guildmages. Here we get... Inkshredder Nephilim. A lot of mana costs of different colors. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, if it targets only Inkshredder Nephilim, copy the spell for each other creature that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. Streetbreaker Worm is pretty big, just a 6/4 for 5. There's a wee Dragonauts, which is fine. We have a lot of instants and sorceries, so it could be decent in our deck. Yeah, I think we just take that. So we are kind of getting paid off by staying open for Izzet. We've gotten 2 really good Izzet cards in Ogre Savant and Invoke the Firemind, and then 2 more decent ones in Torchdrake and wee Dragonauts. Here we have another Nephilim. This one we might be able to cast. Whenever you cast a spell, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever it attacks, it gains trample until end of turn if its power is 10 or greater. But it's a 1/1 for 4 that takes 3 different colors of mana. I don't know about that. Rabble Rouser, 4 mana 1/1, Bloodthirst 1. Attacking creatures get +X/+0, where X is its power. Runeboggle is a Force Spike that draws you a card. There's another Torchdrake, though. Shrieking Grotesque is very strong. It's a 2/1 flyer for 3. If you spend black on it, it makes an opponent discard a card. I think we're taking Torchdrake, though. I'm just more sold on us being Izzet at this point than I am on us being Esper. Thunderheads. I don't think we really care about that. But there is another Wee Dragonauts, so we will take that. Ooh, Orzhov Basilisk? Castigate is not bad. It's a Thoughtseize variant. So 4 mana 3/3. Whenever it becomes a target of a spell or ability, return it to its owner's hand. I don't know how good that really is. Might just take the bounce land. I think we take another bounce land. Ooh, and a repeal comes back? That's excellent. Nivix, Area of the Firemind. Exile a top card of your library until your next turn. You may cast that card if it's an instant or sorcery. Aye. Ooh, we didn't get back the second repeal, though. So now it's Runeboggle. Counter target 1, spell unless its controller pays 1. Draw a card. I guess it could catch somebody. An aggressive Bloodthirst creature. And Goblin Flectomancer. Change the target of an instant or sorcery spell. I guess that's fine. It's a lot of red mana. I think I'm going to take Runeboggle, actually. Wow, another Wee Dragonauts. Alright, well, we are on the Wee Dragonauts plan. Luckily, we have quite a few instants or sorceries to back it up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 instants or sorceries, and 3 Wee Dragonauts. Infiltrator's Mage Mark. Enchant creatures you control that are enchanted get +1/+1 and can't be blocked except by creatures with Defender. And creatures get +1/+1 in first strike. Let's take the can't be blocked one. Take Rabble Rouser and Lionheart Maverick. So I think this deck is fine. I think it's reasonable. I think we're going to play all the cards in it. We got to cut 1, actually. Do we just cut this Drift? Do we want the big flying wall? We have a lot of flyers. We have some decent removal and a couple of powerful spells like Invoke the Firemind. One option would be to cut this Pillory. But we have a white-black bounce land and we have 2 signets that make white mana. So I don't think we really even need to run maybe 1 plains, maybe 0 plains to be able to play it. And it is a very good spell. Probably the smartest idea is just to get rid of Videlcum Plotter, the 3 mana 1/1 that exchanges control of lands when it enters the battlefield. And that gives us an actual deck. I mean, 17 lands, 23 spells. We have a bit of synergy. We have some decent removal. Got the 3 Dragonauts, which could end up being very strong. Got a big finisher and Invoke the Firemind. Got some removal, a bit of card draw. I like this deck. We'll see how successful it ends up being, but I think this is a reasonable deck. So let's add some basic lands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red mana symbols, a single white mana symbol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black mana symbols, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 blue mana symbols. Well, we're definitely weighted towards blue. And we have the blue-black bounce lands. I don't even think we play a plains. I think we play 4 mountains, 3 swamps. So this gives us 5 red sources, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black sources, 9, 10 blue sources, and 4 white sources. If anything, there's probably an argument for playing more red sources. We have 5 red spells and 8 black spells. If anything, we could probably go down a swamp for another... maybe not. Let's run it like this. I think this is fine. The only thing I'm worried about is casting our Dragonauts on time. It would be nice to actually cast them on turn 3. And with 5 red sources, that might not happen consistently. We could go down a blue source for another mountain. And that puts us down to 9 blue sources, which is probably still fine. We should have one every game. And we only have 1 double blue spell, and it's Invoke the Firemind, so we wouldn't be casting that to the late game anyway. So we only really need 1 blue to function. Really, while we have a lot of different colors, our mana costs are not too restrictive. We have everything is single color essentially, so except for Invoke the Firemind. Anyway, I think this deck is pretty reasonable. We will see how it goes. If we can cast our Wee Dragonauts on time and just back them up with some spells and Ogre Savant and so forth, and then finish the game with Invoke the Firemind, I think it could work. Anyway, I'm going to submit it. We will be back with round 1 of our Ravnica Guildpact Rough Drafts.